Ever since the 1980s, people concerned about AIDS and HIV have known the importance of community organizing. Along with medical advances, there has always been the need to make sure the communities affected are informed. That goes for prevention as well as treatment. An event this Saturday will take place in East Boston as part of a campaign to reach people of color. Our guest is from the Hispanic Black Gay Coalition. We'd like to welcome the Executive Director, Yarbrough. Thank you very much for being with us, Corey.
No problem, Chris.
First, talk to me about the organization, because you are one of the founders.
Yes, the organization Hispanic Black Gay Coalition was started in November of 2009, and really it was a direct response for myself and my partner to the LGBT community here. We couldn't find a lot of services and resources available to LGBT people of color. And so we decided to look in the mirror and start creating those services.
Why is it important when you say finding services for people of color? So I guess the cultural community connection really matters here, right?
Absolutely. I think, especially in mainstream society, it's often said that being gay is acting white, or the gay culture is often considered the same as the white culture. And so it can be difficult to find people who look like you, who identify the same way as you do. Not much to mention services, being able to access services from people who understand your cultural background or who are sensitive to that. And that doesn't exist as much as we would like it to in Boston. And so that's what HBGC is all about, kind of creating these services by our community for our community.
And of course, services means how you reach people, and I guess even reaching them before they think they have a problem, right?
In some ways, yeah. I mean, part of it is building a community, and just by building a community and bringing people together, you realize that there are some things that we need to improve within our own community. And so by building that base, we can kind of learn from each other's experience, begin to open up about some things we do need help with. And that's where HBGC kind of comes in to support.
Well, building community, that's one of the reasons for this event.
Absolutely.
So talk about how this fits in.
Sure. Well, HIV and STI prevention is one of our core areas.
STI, meaning sexually transmitted infection.
Absolutely. Is one of our 5 core areas that we focus on. And this event serves to build awareness in the community about how the HIV epidemic is affecting communities of color, particularly LGBT communities of color. And what's unique about this event is we didn't really want an event that just is spewing statistics and hearing everything that we've heard before, but we wanted to put a creative spin on it, hence the arts and activism piece of this. We are featuring performers, different artists, nationally and locally recognized, to talk about what they've done in the field of the arts to create awareness around HIV prevention. And part of the event is dedicated to a panel discussion about what everyone can do to use their talents for this important endeavor.
So, of course, you're trying to reach people. Now, some viewers might be saying, well, exactly which people within communities of color do you need to reach? Because back in the old days, we used to think of people, well, you either had to be somebody coming out of prison or a drug user, but we're not just talking about one or two types of people here.
No, and that's the point we want to make as well. This is not an epidemic that really is stuck in one community. People need to realize that HIV/AIDS is something that affects our friends, it affects our family members, it affects our community, our race, society as a whole. So, you know, regardless if you are HIV positive or not, you need to get involved in this epidemic because it inevitably affects you. So this event is specifically catered towards everyone getting involved, but specifically communities of color, which is often been difficult to rally around this important issue because it's such a taboo and sensitive issue for our community specifically.
Now, what about younger people as well? Because just a couple of months ago, we had high school students in the city council, maybe not necessarily from the gay lesbian community, but they're talking about the need for more education. And I imagine this might be one of the age groups that you have to be concerned about.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a topic we have to start talking about because it is having serious implications for our youth. There's statistics out there right now that says the most new cases for HIV infections fall between the ages of, I believe, 13 and 26. That's our youth, that's our high schoolers, that's in some cases even our middle schoolers. And so it's important that we engage them in the conversation and make sure they understand not only how to protect themselves, but how they can get involved to influence their peers to make a difference.
Do you think that there's a lack of information in the community right now?
I think so. I think you can never have enough information. You can never be educated enough about this issue. I think there are a lot of stereotypes and stigmas that people take for education as for being informed. And so we have to work to kind of combat some of those stereotypes, little by little, and make a difference.
Now, one thing that might strike a lot of people as maybe a little too unreasonable for us is saying that it's important to get tested. And some people might be saying, "Who, me?"
Yeah, I mean, if you're sexually active, you need to get tested. It should be a part of your health care. So when you go to get your blood pressure checked, or when you go to get your other checkups, HIV should be one of them. The CDC recommends, especially if you are a gay male, that you get tested at least once a year, and that's regardless of if you think you're being safe all the time or not. It should just be a routine practice for you.
By the way, we've mentioned teens, but what about their parents?
As far as getting involved or getting tested?
Getting involved and making sure their kids, whatever their sexual orientation, know what they're getting into.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes back to what we were saying about having the conversation and talking. I mean, I think in some cases that can start in the home. And so parents need to take responsibility, not only to set an example for safe sex practices and for making sure you yourself are tested as a parent, but you shouldn't be scared to initiate these conversations with your children. And so it's not a taboo issue in the household, and sex is something you're talking about regularly, and they're not learning from these outside sources that may or may not be the proper channel for them.
We should mention the time and place for this event.
Sure, absolutely. So the event is this Saturday, March 26th. At Zoomix Firehouse in East Boston, and it is from 5 to 8 p.m. So you want to be there right at 5 o'clock, because that's when we're going to start with these dynamic performances. We have some fantastic guests, again, nationally recognized artists, and then following the performances, we're going to have a deeper panel discussion to talk about more what we can do as a community to make a difference. So
thank you very much for being with us.
Sure, and for more information, just check out our website at www.boston.org.
Great. That is very helpful. Yarbrough from the Hispanic Black Gay Coalition. Up ahead, Vida Hispana with Maga Troncoso.